What is going on, Jets fans? Welcome back into Jets Media. My name is Richie, and we have a special guest in today's episode, a great friend of mine that I'm excited to come on here on Jets Media that I just met in person for the first time. He's a YouTuber, a fellow Jets fan, and we're going to dive deep into this New York Jets roster, dive deep into what you need to know about these New York Jets heading into training camp, because let's be honest, Jets fans, this is the dead zone, all right? But all of a sudden, we're going to wake up, and it's going to be training camp in like 3 weeks from now. We're going to have Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn and the boys at One Jets Drive. So in this video, we're going to break down all you need to know about these New York Jets heading into training camp. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, we got my boy Mike from Stark Raving Sports. Mike, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello, thank you guys for having me.
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure to have you on, Mike. You are a YouTuber yourself. Stark Raving Sports, folks. Please go check it out. It's a YouTube channel with over 180,000 subscribers, all things sports related. Mike, do you want to give a little preview and let the people know about your YouTube channel? Because it is a very unique one, and it's a fantastic one, that is.
Gladly. We are a group with more than just myself, so if you don't like me today, that's fine. You got plenty of other options on the platform. We cover all things sports, as you said. Baseball is probably the biggest one, but there's a lot of football in there and a lot of Jets from me when they give me ample reason to talk about them every year. I enjoy talking me some Jets. Any opportunity, I will probably say yes. I'm so glad to be here. It is creeping up on us, which is crazy. You said training camp is right around the corner, which is a sentence even a couple days ago I wouldn't have processed and registered. So, yeah, this is about the time of the year that it's going to start heating up and you're going to start having them on your mind again.
Yeah, and it's exciting. It's exciting. We have a lot of things to talk about regarding these New York Jets because mandatory minicamp is behind us, OTAs is behind us, and now it's all about training camp coming up. And I'm a big fan of training camp. I go every single year, multiple times. And maybe it's my favorite time of the year, Mike, because that's the only time where there's hope and then excitement, and then the season comes. And I'm hoping that changes eventually. But I want to jump right into it, man. Like, as a Jets fan entering this season, where is your mind in terms of your expectations heading into the season? Because we got a brand new head. Everything's new. Everything's fresh. We're going from the Aaron Rodgers era of our expectations like, okay, well, we got Aaron Rodgers. If we don't win now, we're doomed. We didn't win, obviously. So now where's your head at with a brand new coaching staff, brand new quarterback with, in my opinion, still a talented roster? So what's your expectations heading into the season as a fan?
I've never felt more like disjointed about the team. I don't really know what to feel. I do like Aaron Glenn. I do like that they have a fairly proven idea coming from the Lions that it can work even with talent at the beginning that wasn't exactly up to par. Like if you look at those Lions teams from when they really started getting the ball rolling with Campbell, like they won their first game probably after the World Series ended, one of those years. And then look at what the Lions became last year. So I'm optimistic that if they could right the ship, so can we. I think Fields can work. I think it just really depends on, everything else. We've learned this lesson before, like especially with Darnold, where you can be talented, you can have reason to be believed in, but you need a million other things to go right.
Yep.
They need good play calling. You need the weapons to be healthy. You need them to be good. You need protection. You need a lot of these other things. So I think Fields has the capability of working. Would I bet my life it's going to work? No. So with that in mind, would I also think the expectation could be 4 wins and you're drafting Lenore Sellers next year? Absolutely. But we really don't know. This is the most uncertain I think I've ever been about a Jet team.
And that's a great point you just said. The uncertainty is the main topic that I keep reminding my audience that watches my show, that nobody knows. Like, there's a giant question mark around the New York Jets, and even the media has no idea. The media was hyping up this football team the last 2 years that this is our time to win the AFC East. We're Super Bowl contenders, and now they're like, okay, well, we're never going to do that again with the Jets. And I like being under the radar personally as a fan. I feel more confident where nobody is expecting the Jets to be great, because I rather everyone expect us to be trash, and then if we're trash, it's like, yeah, that's what was expected, right? But if we're good, it's like, whoa, that's interesting. So I want to get your thoughts about Justin Fields in particular, the Jets quarterback number 1. The Jets bring him in on a 2-year contract, and they never even told him, like, yeah, you're going to be competing with Tyrod. They told him right away, no, you're the starting quarterback of this football team. We're going to give you the keys to this franchise, and it's up to you to steer the ship in the right direction to be our starter long term. And if you're not, like you said, the 2026 draft class is pretty deep at the quarterback position. So, in my opinion, it's kind of like not that big of a risk for the Jets to go after Justin Fields, because if he flails out, they got a really nice draft class to get the replacement. If he balls out, hey, maybe Justin Fields is the guy long term. So, what's your expectations for Justin Fields? What have you seen from him in Pittsburgh and Chicago? And what do you think he's going to look like with the New York Jets? Is there a world where he has a career season this season with the New York Jets?
There is. Ryan Fitzpatrick had that with this franchise, so you can never count out even if it's just the one flash in the pan great year. I think Fields has a few things going for him, which are Glenn is very clearly proving that he doesn't like the superstar 52 plus one, or I think it's 51 plus one quarterback situation, where like how Rodgers kind of defined everything last year, better or worse. He comes from a place now where Goff was just one of the boys, part of the team, and like for better or for worse, didn't really move the needle over there for a lot of things. So I think having Fields, who's probably the complete opposite personality of Aaron Rodgers, come in is probably a good change of pace there. Knows Garrett Wilson very well. That's going to help both of them, I think.
For sure.
He's also very athletic. I can't tell you a Jet quarterback I've ever seen who could have that
like Vic.
skill set. Well, Vic was like a million years old. Was the problem? You're not going to tell me that fossil Michael Vick had the skill set that Justin Fields did. You wonder.
Want to hear a fun stat though? Listen, man,
it.
Justin Fields, one of 3 quarterbacks in NFL history to put up 1,000 yards rushing. You know who the other 2 quarterbacks are?
Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson.
There we go. See, there's some connection.
I think that there's a world where it goes with Justin Fields the way you wanted it to go with Zach Wilson, just because he has the capability to be very dynamic, which you need dynamic quarterbacks now. Like, is Burrow really the only one who just kind of stands in the pocket and carves up in today's NFL? Like, everybody else can elude, make something happen, kind of make their own play. Like the football equivalent of when they say a basketball player creates their own shot. So like there is a world to answer your question where it really does work out.
And there is an upside there with Fields, right? And I think that's the thing that when I look at Justin Fields personally, his athleticism, like you mentioned, his mobility, his escapability, his ability to be what you just said, a basketball player creating his own shot. It's actually legit. Like there's a real talent there. But the question is, can he calm down his mind enough and go through the progressions and not hold on to the ball too long? That's what everyone's waiting to see. Because there's this narrative that Justin Fields can't throw. I disagree with that. He can throw the football. He's got good fundamentals. He knows how to throw the football accurately. It's not the arm. It's not the physical element of throwing. It's the mental side of things, of processing the field, seeing the field properly, getting confused by defenses is what's going to make or break his season this year.
Well, the floor is like however low I can fit on the camera is like, that's how like the worst case scenario is. That's why we're even having the conversation of uncertainty. I mean, always begins and ends with quarterbacks on the football team. And Fields had a great run and as his part-time player, the word you can use in Pittsburgh. And this is a team that has never had it right at the top level. And that's like, you need to set the quarterback up to succeed. We're learning more and more that you can be someone like Justin Herbert, who is really talented and can never really put it all together if you don't have everything else about the football team on your side. So really the rest of the conversation with the Jets is going to be everyone other than Justin Fields.
And how much do you think Garrett Wilson being on this football team and Justin Fields reuniting with Garrett Wilson is going to impact Justin Fields' ability to break out? Because there's a big question mark around the Jets wide receiver position. A lot of Jets fans are not happy about the receiver position. I'm someone that's like, guys, we got Garrett Wilson. And I understand that we don't really love the number 2 around him, which is Josh Reynolds and Alan Lazard and Arian Smith, Corley and those guys that we're going to see what they look like in training camp. But Garrett Wilson is that dude, man. And I think that Justin Fields, like I saw a funny video of him working out recently, and his trainer was asking Justin, like, where do you like to throw better? Off, like, to your right or to your left? What do you prefer? He's like, neither. I love them both. And he's like, nah, you gotta have a preference. He's like, nah. He's like, Where's my best receiver at? Whatever side he's on. And it was like an edit, and then it cut it to Garrett Wilson with them on Ohio State. And then there goes my delusional brain. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to be elite. But it's a joke. But no, I think that he is really going to force feed Garrett Wilson the ball. Not just Garrett Wilson getting the ball from Justin Fields, but I think that this new offensive coordinator with Tanner Engstrand, their whole focus is to feed GW. So what's your expectations from Garrett Wilson? Do you think that there's a world where he has a career year from statistics, career high receptions, yards, touchdowns with Justin Fields at quarterback in this new system?
I think there's a decent chance he leads the NFL in receptions just because of how much they're going to throw the ball to him and how much he really is the only wide receiver you can count on. Both points of view you said are right, where like Garrett Wilson is that dude. I'm so happy he gets to shine. He's got a quarterback who, likes him this time. And he's so talented. He makes the crazy play. Love that. Oh my God.
Shout out Round Table Sports for the merch.
The flip side is there is a world where he tweaks his calf and he misses 3 weeks and you have no idea who the ball is going to. That's what scares you, is the world where even he misses a game or two and you're like, who on earth is wide receiver 1? So that's really it's a weird situation to be in because we're acknowledging, oh my God, we love him. He's so good. He really is that guy. The offense is going to kind of funnel through him in the passing game. But it's the Rodgers question of 2 years ago now, where if he goes down, what do you even do? And that's you said training camp is hopefully going to make or break these guys. Training camp's a little bit of smoke and mirrors with these things. You just have to go out there and play at times in the games. Like training camp doesn't show up in the standings. You have to go out there and win games. You need to see who comes out there and performs. We really don't know who that's going to be.
We don't.
So I'm interested. Who are you highest on for wide receivers this season not named Garrett Wilson?
Great question, Mike. I think, the easy answer right now, the guy that's emerged as being the number 2 receiver next to Garrett Wilson is Josh Reynolds. I think that if you're going to look at the statistics and if I had to predict, say every receiver is healthy all season, who's going to finish with the second most receiving yards at the wide receiver position next to Garrett Wilson, I think it's going to be Josh Reynolds. I just think that he's the veteran of the group. Lazard's a veteran too, but I just don't trust him. He had a successful season with Detroit a few years ago. The last time he was healthy, he had like 600-something yards, had a pretty decent amount of touchdowns. But I do think it's going to be more like a committee approach next to Garrett Wilson, where Arian Smith, I'm excited to see what his upside looks like. Malachi Corley, it's a make-or-break year for him, even though he barely even played last year. Like, this regime did not draft him. Like, are they going to have a role for him to play? And then you got Xavier Gibson, who's this guy in the slot that could be good. Who knows? And then I just feel like Alan Lazard is just a giant question mark. I don't know what to trust about him. But there's this one player on the wide receiver position, Mike, that I actually think could be the sleeper of the group, and that's Tyler Johnson. I think Tyler Johnson, he actually looked really good in OTAs. A lot of people that was at practice was seeing the Jets utilize him a lot with the starters, and he was making some plays. This is a guy that was a mid-round pick from Tampa, was behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the depth chart, didn't really get an opportunity. Went to the Rams, had Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp ahead of him in the depth chart, didn't get an opportunity. And I'm looking at this New York Jets team, Mike, as the team of opportunities. A player like Tyler Johnson is going to get an opportunity to show who he is, and it's up to him to see what he's about. Same thing with Justin Fields. He's getting a real opportunity. So if there's a sleeper of the group, I'm looking at Tyler Johnson. I do like his upside. I'm not going to say he's going to break out and put up like 800-plus yards, but I think that there's a world where he could be an impactful player. I like the youth element that he provides.
You said it very well. It's going to be opportunities. Whoever goes out there and runs with it over the next few weeks or months is going to get the ball more. It's because it's so wide open that the first guy or two who shows they can be anything is going to, have that wide receiver 2 job. Me personally, I am an Arian Smith believer. I don't think I've seen the Jets have a guy of that skill set in a very long time, where he's just a vertical threat and will blow past safeties and DBs if you let him. There, of course, is a drop problem. That's why he fell that far in the draft. But you hope that with the proper seasoning and being able to put it together, or the right play calls and designs to get him the ball in the first place, that's a position that you need a guy like that who can just burn through defenses, because speed kills, and we've never had that. It's the same thing with Corley, where Corley, the whole thing is in college, just get him the ball. And we didn't get him the ball last year. He's a huge yak guy. So if we're going to do that with the Jets this year, it could just be about getting him, Gibson, Smith the ball in the first place for some of these plays and just hoping something happens and playing a little bit of chaos ball, but in a good way, if we thrive under these conditions. But again, whole theme of today, no idea if that's going to be the case.
No idea indeed. And there's one player in this offense that I think is another sleeper that could be very impactful immediately. Not at the receiver position, but he will be catching the football. That's Mason Taylor, the second-round pick out of LSU. I've never been this confident in a rookie to come out there and provide an impact immediately. He just feels like he's ready to go. It doesn't feel like there's going to be a giant learning curve for him. I'm not expecting him to be elite right out of the gate. There's going to be some rookie hiccups I'm aware of, but he just feels very reliable. I know Justin Fields likes his tight ends, and the Jets need a tight end. And the Detroit Lions offense, where Tanner Engtrand is coming from, they utilize their tight ends. They drafted Sam Laporta in the second round. He was like a huge part of their offense. The Jets draft Mason Taylor early in the second round. He's going to be a big part of their offense. And you got Jeremy Ruckert, who I'm not going to sleep on. They got that chemistry from Ohio State, him and Justin Fields. I think Mason Taylor is going to be that guy that gets 3rd and 3. They do a play action, and he's just going to get that first down, or he gets that clutch touchdown in the red zone. He's going to be that reliable weapon. At least I'm hopeful for. So what's your expectations for the Jets rookie Mason Taylor heading into this season?
You literally took the words out of my mouth that all you really need out of a tight end are a third and medium and short or a red zone play. Anything else above that is just gravy, and you're like, okay, great, we have a guy. Like, if a tight end can do exactly what you're saying of just the clutch play, be reliable when the chips are down, like when you actually need a short or reasonable conversion, I think Mason Taylor can and will do that. I think that he is by far the clear tight end one, probably the second best pass catching option on the team. So
he's a number 2 receiver, if you really want to talk.
Yes, he is. And you said you wonder if the Laporta comp could actually come to fruition, because that has been a huge gain for Detroit. He is potentially the best tight end in football going forward the next couple of years, him and Bowers. So you wonder if we can actually be so lucky as to have a guy like that in our building.
Dustin Keller was the last one that really was an impactful tight end for us.
Yeah, and even he wasn't like for these tight ends we have now. Which is
I know.
We're starving for a good tight end in these parts. Like how we watched Gronkowski and Kelsey carve up the NFL for longer than we can remember at this point, and we would be foaming at the mouth for a guy that talented. We just have to hope that Mason Taylor takes advantage of his very fortuitous position in the depth chart right now, that he is going to get targets. Mm-hmm. Like if he breaks training camp healthy, he is going to get plenty of targets.
Yeah, so and he's going to block. And that's what Aaron Glenn said. He's like, if you don't block, you don't get no rock. And when he was asked about Mason Taylor at OTAs and the press conference, he did not even care about what he did as a receiver. He just was raving about his ability to block, and that's just coach speak, right? They're like, yeah, the fancy stuff's for you guys. We're talking about real football. You know, that's what Aaron Glenn's all about, which you love to see. Now, when it comes to this Jets team offensively, which has been the topic of this segment that we're on right here, I think what's going to make or break this entire offense, I made a whole video on it on my channel, that there's one key to the New York Jets' success this upcoming season, and it's one element of the game, and it's as simple as the running game, right? The Jets got Breece Hall and Braylon Allen that I'm very high on, and they got an offensive line that we can all say on paper could be very good, and then add in Justin Fields, who's a mobile quarterback. There is no reason why this Jets football team cannot be a dominant football squad running the football, because if they can start running the football, Mike, and they can impose their will on opponents in the trenches, and they have to run read options, they run design quarterback runs, they have Breece Hall line up out wide, they do a little screen pass to him to get him the rock, they give it to Braylon Allen, even Isaiah Davis, even undrafted free agent Donovan Edwards. The upside of this offense starts with the run game, because if they can really establish a run game, that is what's going to open up Justin Fields' ability to throw the football down the field. When the play action starts happening, that's when Garrett Wilson starts getting wide open. That's when Josh Reynolds gets open on a play action pass. When you are running the ball and you can fake people, that's what the Detroit Lions do. They run it down your throat, and then Jared Goff does that beautiful play action. The defense gets sucked in, and then you see Amon-Ra St. Brown wide open over the middle of the field. It's going to make or break the season, in my opinion, is the run game. So what's your expectations from that element of the football? Because Keith Carter's gone. Thank you. New offensive line coach, new scheme, and I think that's very important here.
Dare I say I like the offensive line going into this year, which is like, that's a huge make or breaker of a football team. If you have no line, you're not winning games. So I am cautiously confident in the offensive line, which then you said it, like, great running games do win football games. And you stack those on top of each other. That's how you have a really good team. And it never made sense how they never really used the Breece Hall skill set. That, like, Breece Hall's true comp is like Christian McCaffrey, if all goes right. That, like, he can catch out of the backfield. He's blazing fast, super athletic, makes guys miss. Like, he is the most talented Jet running back of my lifetime. I'm 25 for reference.
So you didn't get to see Curtis Martin.
I did not get to see Curtis Martin as much,
Me
but I did say most
I was
talented. I said most talented. That, like, his skill set is the most, like, dynamic, but it never checked out how they just didn't want to use it at any point. Like, you would have thought last year we'd be having the same conversation that with Rodgers coming off the Achilles, that you would want Breece Hall to touch the ball every play practically, so to keep Rodgers fresh, and that's not even close to what happened, and it never made any sense. They gave Allen basically the same amount of touches at a certain point in the year.
Yeah, and I think last year the issue was they would try to run the football on first down. He would get stuffed because the line was just a mess, and then it's second and long, and then they try to crazy weird pass play, and it doesn't work, and then you're third and long every time, and they never strung together so many plays where there was not enough offensive plays where Breece Hall would get the ball. I mean, how many times did the opposing team have like 70% of the snaps? And that matters. You need to string together drives. And I think that was a big issue for the New York Jets the last few years with Aaron Rodgers, and even 2 years ago with Zach Wilson, where they did not string together drives where Breece Hall could get the touches, right? It would be 3 and out every other time, right?
See, my blunt opinion is that a good offensive scheme figures it out if you have the talent.
And we didn't have that last year.
You just find ways to get these dynamite players the football and just hope something good happens. Then you just rinse and repeat and just trying to go back to the well to get your best players the ball. But again, that's not what they had the last few years.
Yeah. And that brings me into Tanner Engstrand, like what his role was for Detroit. And you just said this and it clicked in my brain. Tanner Engstrand's role underneath Ben Johnson, he was the pass game coordinator. That was his title. But what did he do actually week by week in the season? He would go into the playbook and see all these weapons. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. His role was, how can we figure out a way to feed everybody? How do we get Amon-Ra creatively involved, just like everybody, so everybody can eat? And then he would give Ben Johnson that plan, and Ben Johnson would take it and run with it. And now this is Tanner Engstrand's first opportunity to build his own playbook for the strengths of this football team. So I'm hoping, we don't know anything about the guy yet. He could be another bust, or he could be like a LaFleur who was like not terrible, but just good and wasn't good enough to get Zach Wilson over the hump. So what's your thoughts of Tanner Engstrand, your expectations for him, first-year offensive coordinator, linked at the hip with Justin Fields and this young offense?
High hopes, but willing to be patient because it took time in Detroit.
And that's important. I hope if you're watching this, you heard that patient word. Because every time I bring up the patient word, everyone's like, oh, I've been patient for 50 years.
Well, this is the year I think I'm most willing to play that card because of the, like you said, the wide range of outcomes. Like, it is in no way, shape, or form the end of the world if this team wins 2 games, because there is a litany of great quarterback ideas to pick from. Like, I'm very high on Drew Aller and Lenore Sellers. I think a world where you end up with either of those two, I do not really care about how the season goes if you do that. And this is a year of a lot of possibilities, is how I'll phrase it. They could win 10 games if they're really lucky. They could win 1 game if they're really not. So it just comes down to what the talent on the field does and how it performs. The harsh reality is that if they don't perform, there is no path where Breece Hall's on the football team next year if they're bad. You wonder what – I think they will get at least one of Gardner or Wilson extended, and for better or for worse, they might be stuck here during another rebuild. But That's the weird part is there's a lot of change on the horizon if it is bad. If it is good, you're keeping this group for a good while now. Where
Mm-hmm.
like you'll even have like the Williams brothers and Johnson and Will McDonald for who knows how long on defense. But this is a very huge. Everything has to go right to keep everybody together here. Because like you hear they were sniffing around Genty for a little bit. If you buy into those
Yeah,
rumors.
I mean, this is a new regime too, and you also have to look at it like Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. They're going to want to make this their team. I mean, it's still 90% Joe Douglas's roster,
Yeah.
so they only had one off season. They didn't go crazy in free agency. They had a draft class, and that's it. Now, I definitely want to get into the defense with you because we've been really focusing on the offense for the majority of this video so far. Aaron Glenn, defensive-minded coach. Steve Wilkes, defensive coordinator, who's going to run the show. On paper, like I really do think this defense. I mean, Robert Saleh, the one thing he actually knew what he was doing. Of course, him and Ulbrich, they knew how to coach defense. They knew how to develop players, and we were one of the better defenses in the league under Saleh, outside of last season when everything blew up. What's your expectations from this defense? Can they be a top 10 defense? Is it going to be top 15? Is there going to be a learning curve? Is there going to be a learning curve of a new schematic change that Sauce Gardner and Quinnen and Quincy and all these guys are going to have to get used to? Jamie and Sherwood's taking on that CJ Mosley role. We got Andre Sisco now at the safety position. We got Brandon Stevens at CB2. I hope Azaria Thomas steals his job because I don't really trust Brandon Stevens. I want the rook to get the ball. We got Will McDonald. So what's your thoughts of this defense heading into this season under Aaron Glenn and Wilkes?
I'd be shocked if they weren't league average or better. I think they have talent and a unbelievable defensive coordinator. And a lot of these guys are experienced now. Like we're in year 3, 4, 5, whatever for most of these defenders now that we're talking about. So I think that they could be a top 10 defense. I think that's certainly in the realistic realm of possibility. I don't see a world where the defense is like atrocious, which is good. I think that the defense is the strongest unit of the team, the one I'm most confident in. I think they'll keep the Jets in games for the most part. Like I don't see them getting blown out 35-3 much this year because I do think the defense is good enough to keep them within a couple of scores in the majority of games. And I think now we're just going to have to see if like Gardner finally takes that leap back up to number one corner.
That's going to be big.
Or if Quinnen Williams kind of enters that like Fred Warner-esque territory where he's like a top 2 to 3 linebacker. Same thing, like is Sherwood going to take the jump? Is Quinnen going to get quarterback hits a little more? Because like the one thing about the Jet defense, they don't get sacks and turnovers as much as a
and that's what I was about to say, that I'm hoping is the turnaround from the coaching is what Robert Saleh and Ulbrich was so good at was keeping everything in front of him and protecting the end zone. And that was it. And it worked, but not all the time. What Aaron Glenn and Wilkes' defense is opportunistic, creating turnovers, right? Being a scoring defense, giving your offense good field position. And I think that's going to come with some risks, right? They're going to have a blitz call, and it may bite them. And all of a sudden, they give up an 80-yard touchdown. But then how can they zip it up? So it's going to be interesting to see the difference of schematic differences with this defense being a little bit more opportunistic. Andre Sisco, I think, is a player that I'm excited for. That could be an underrated pickup because I feel like him entering a contract year. I mean, I say entering a contract year. He's brand new with the Jets. He's on a 1-year contract. Therefore, he's going to try to, ball out with the Jets and get paid on the open market next year, whether that's with the Jets or another team. But he's good at getting interceptions. This Jets team does not know how to get interceptions. They just don't, right? Sauce Gardner can't even do it. So they need to be able to take the ball away, starts in the secondary, and, of course, getting to the quarterback and even forcing turnovers. I think that's going to be the biggest difference where just drove me mad. It's like the solid defense is so good, but why can't they get turnovers? And I'm hoping that the schematic differences can flip that around because we need to get turnovers. You see all the great defense in the league. They're the ones that win football games by getting pick sixes, by creating turnovers and being flashy on defense. And I think this defense has the talent to do it. So that's why I bring it up. They got the personnel, and now they got new coaching. So it's just a matter of if they can put it all together.
Or even set the offense back on 2nd and 3rd and long because you have now Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson who are both 10.5 sack candidates probably.
Will McDonald is if there was a breakout star on this roster on both sides of the ball, I'm picking Will McDonald because he's not a star yet. He broke out last year, but I see a big leap from Will McDonald. Who is your breakout star potentially? Garrett Wilson's already broke out as a star. You can argue Sauce Gardner already broke out as a star. Quinnen Williams, we hope that he can be back to that star. You can. That was my pick last year before he tore his Achilles. I just don't know if I hope it's Jermaine. I'm taming my expectations because of that injury. But
I still think he's a dude. I think he's going to go out there and assuming you can get him for a good chunk of the season, I think that really changes.
Because you got 2 first-round picks on both sides, Jermaine and Will, and then you got Quinnen in the middle. I mean, come on.
And they've both proven they can do it, which is why I'm hopeful that in a new defensive scheme, you can actually get like a 3rd down sack once in a while, because that's also how you win games is like come crunch time, your opportunities, go there and knock the offense as far back as you can too. Like not when any of these like, you stopped them on 4th, they're in field goal range. You got to start knocking people backwards as a defense. And we have a good front 7 that can do that.
We do.
So just hope that the right defensive Steve Wilkes is a great defensive coach. So
he
I
absolutely
really
is.
hope
He's got all the experience in the world, and I hope that the Jets can actually impose their will and do what they need to do. Well, Mike, I appreciate you hopping on this show, man. We could talk this for another 4 hours. I love talking Jets with you, Mike. I appreciate you coming on to Jets Media to talk some Jets. I mean, we talked about everything, man. We really broke down a lot to do with this New York Jets roster. When's your next Jets video coming out on Stark Raving Sports, man? Because when that drops, I got to market it for you. I got to tell my audience to go check it out.
Thank you. Let's see how they look coming out of training camp, and I'll decide what the right story to tackle is. I got some ideas, but I want to see what takes shape over the first couple weeks to months of training camp and the beginning of the season.
Well, guys, go check out Stark Raving Sports' YouTube channel, 180,000 subscribers and growing. All right, that's Mike's YouTube channel. Make sure you guys go check out Mike. Mike, anything you want to say to the people? And love to get you on again throughout the offseason or maybe even in season when we start winning.
That's what I want to.
Or losing.
That's what I want to think about. Thank you for having me, by the way, first and foremost. But
of course.
It's going to, I will say, I'm a Mets and a Knicks fan. So also,
we're aligned, Mike.
It will, when it does happen, I know how the plea of desperation that sounds. When it does happen, it's the greatest feeling in the world. It will all pay off someday.
We got a taste of it with the Knicks. We got a little taste of it with the Knicks, a little taste of it with the Mets last year, too. And it's just like, where's that? My Jets cup is still empty, man. And I mean, the Knicks and Mets cup is not full. Trust me. I mean, I'm not satisfied yet. But, let's at least get the Jets into the playoff contention like our Knicks and Mets. And then we'll all have a great time together, Mike. So, Mike, appreciate you coming on, my friend. Make sure you guys go check out his channel. If you stayed all the way to the end of the video, folks, comment down below a Jet emoji. Love to see who stayed all the way to the end of this longer video with my boy Mike. And make sure you guys go check out his channel. Appreciate you guys as always. And let's go Jets. Peace out, folks.